Let me tell you a story about a woman whose ex-husband was a narcissist who abused her physically, emotionally, verbally, and mentally. And we're talking pretty extreme abuse. One thing he did to keep her in line was he would go cut all the buttons off her pants and her jackets. Because she had to dress professionally, she would have to stay up for hours at night sewing them all back on just to have something to wear the next day because she was the breadwinner because he would never keep a job. So in order to be able to feed her family, she had to have clothes to wear so she could get to work. Did she leave this man after all the abuse? No, she didn't. She made a vow to herself that she was not going to let her kids grow up in a single-parent home like she had to. She was determined that as long as she took the brunt of the abuse, it was better that her children had a two-parent home to live in. She was pretty adamant about that. What really happened in this situation is she allowed him to treat her this way because she stayed. I know this story so intimately because it was me. And I stayed with him because I didn't want my children to have a single parent home, and it did not end well for me at all. If you know my story, you know I'm telling the truth. But that girl didn't have self-worth, she didn't have self-love, and she certainly didn't have healthy boundaries. She put a promise she made to herself to not let her children grow up in a single parent home in front of sanity, in front of logic. But that's not me today, because today, someone would not be able to treat me like that. And if they did, I would sleep in my car or in a homeless shelter before I would let someone treat me that way. I see now on the other side of this that nothing is worth someone treating you in a toxic or abusive manner. People only treat us the way we allow them to treat us. And I allowed him to continue to treat me that way because I stayed. Did I fight it? Of course I did. There was always arguing and lots of fights. But I still stayed. I didn't remove myself from the situation. And I could have. There were options. Even though I was scared to death, what would I do money-wise? Where would I go? Where would I live? What would I do? But looking in hindsight, I know there were several different options I could have taken. Again, even if it meant I had to live in my car or a homeless shelter just to get me and my children to a safe place. But I didn't, and I suffered very severe consequences as a result. And those consequences fall on me. And I take full responsibility and accountability for my part in that, for me not making different choices. It was a lesson. It was a really hard lesson, one that's taken me years to recover from. But I learned it. So when people watch my videos and don't like that I promote personal accountability, this is why. I've lived it firsthand. I have learned that people can only treat us the way we allow them to. Fear was holding me back, and had I looked into that fear and dealt with the fear, I would have made different choices.